Benjamin, that would drive you nuts, wouldn't it?
Yeah, laptops are disposable in my opinion.
Oh man. So you think I need to go desktop next go around?
What was it? Laptops are disposable. Oh, hang on. Sorry.
Get the feedback. You think I need to go? You think I need to
Okay,
go desktop,
well,
Ben?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, we're good. We're live. So,
hey, do you think that I should go desktop next round?
No, I mean like laptops break very quickly.
Gotcha. Okay.
So,
all right, fellers. Well, it is 7:15 Eastern Standard Time. Most of us are here in Athens, Georgia, but we got some Manas on today as well. All right. Hey, I'm fired up, guys. Welcome to another edition of today's call. On today's call, we're going to have my friend Tyler Jefcoat talking with us. He's going to bring us some gold, and then we'll hammer him with some really hard questions. We'll see. We'll put him to the test today. We'll put your feet to the fire, Tyler. But I'll introduce him in just a second. But listen, if you're tuning in for the first time today, and you're interested in becoming a member of this group, then stay tuned. After the call, we'll kind of give you some more details and stuff on how to join. So, but hey, let's jump right on in. Hey, I wanted to start with a just a little nugget. Some of y'all heard me tell this before, but I was thinking about it today. Today I was feeling a little beat up, so just got finished with my workout. Feeling a little beat up from jiu-jitsu. Adam Bowen's been beating up on me and stuff. So had a little session last night. Anyway, knees feeling kind of bummy and tweaky, shoulders feeling a little tweaky, and got in there and kind of struggled through the workout. But I checked the box, and so it reminded me of a video that I watched. One of the top strength coaches in the world, and I'm forgetting his name right now. I'll maybe text you guys after the call his name, but I mean, this guy trains Olympians. He trains professional athletes, but he also trains, regular average Joes. And he said, which I thought was very interesting, he said, out of 10 workouts, 1, you're going to feel like absolute Superman. He said, 1, you're going to feel like absolute trash and kind of like, why did I even show up to the gym today? And then he said 8 out of 10. And he said, this goes for professional athletes and it goes for just regular Joes and Janes. He said 8 out of 10, you're just checking the box. You're just checking the box, baby. You're just getting it done. You're doing the work. And, I feel like that's a good analogy for life, right? A lot of what we do, you can apply that same kind of concept and that same idea to a lot of what we do. Got to check the box, baby. Got to show up. Showing up's, 95 to 98% of it, I think. So anyway, that's just a little nugget I wanted to drop on y'all real quick because it was on my brain. But today, again, we got a treat for you guys. My good friend, Tyler Jefcoat. I've been in a couple of business groups with Tyler over the years. We were in the local B&I group for several years. About 60 or so business owners were in that group. We sharpened our public speaking skills in that group. We sharpened our networking skills in that group. So we were in that group together for a while. That's kind of where we met. And then we were a part of a, I don't know what you call it, business mentoring. I don't know what the right name for it is, but it was a smaller group where we would really dive into our businesses together and work on our businesses. And we would meet once a month. So I got to know Tyler and his business even better during that point. And so Tyler started a home health company. He's going to tell you some of this stuff, but he started a home health company years and years ago that has done very well. And now he has exited that company and he started another company and he's doing very well in that one now. So I'm excited to hear from Tyler today. And not only is he a knowledgeable businessman, but he's also a man of faith. He is a man that I look up to in terms of faith. And super positive, super energetic. Anytime I'm around Tyler, I feel uplifted. So, hey, Tyler, we love you, brother. And thank you for being on today. And I'm excited to hear what you got for us today, my man.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. So, well, guys, I really do mean that. Thanks for letting me come join you this morning. And Clint, I did not do my workout yet this morning. So the box has not been checked. Maybe we'll get to it here in a little bit. Yeah, I was funny. I was going to say some of the same things. I mean, Clint, I've known you for a long time now, man. And you've had a pretty important impact in my life, even as a coach, man. So I'm just grateful for you, dude. Grateful for how our paths have crossed so much here. So, guys, I lead. So Clint and I were in that second group he mentioned. We were in you call it kind of a CEO mastermind, or kind of a group of business owners that give you counsel, accountability. Sometimes they got to kick you in the pants, that kind of thing. And one of the most impactful groups I've ever been a part of was that group with Clint. In fact, it was the one that I think really propelled the first company I built into really being a nice, large company. And then Clint and I both since kind of moved on to other groups, but I lead a group kind of like that now for people just in my industry. And so whenever we have speakers come on to our show, so to speak, I really want those guys to come on and like add value, not just come like talking head. And so I was like really thinking about you guys this week. How can I make a few moments with you meaningful? And so I want to talk to you about two things that I never would have really connected as being the same topic, but are maybe key to being successful and growing your business, whatever it is. And they are listening in niches. And so I'm going to tell you a little bit of my story, and then I want to talk specifically about how listening can drive scale and how niches can drive profitability in business. I went to the University of Georgia, studied accounting, wasn't a very good accountant, worked for a nonprofit for a couple of years, worked for a big bank for a couple of years, did the MBA program at Georgia, and quit the bank and decided to build this healthcare company that Clint alluded to. And we had a good run. That company went from 0 to 100 employees in about 4 years. And I was grateful to be the minority shareholder that got to go ahead and exit and sell my position, and started the company that I own now called Seller Accountant. So talk about like different kinds of companies, right? Going from home healthcare back to my roots of finance. And so anyway, so 3 years ago or so, started Seller Accountant, and we only do two things. We do bookkeeping and we do fractional CFO, or kind of financial coaching. And we only do it for scaling e-commerce brands. So I don't know if you guys know this, but you buy something on Amazon, it's a lot of times it's not Amazon selling it to you. It's a third party small business that has developed the product. And those guys are my core customer. And so anyway, our firm has, 15 teammates now. We're growing. It's such a weird, Clinton, you and I have talked about this before, but it's such a weird year, this kind of like hashtag 2020. And, to be in the e-commerce space has actually been kind of awesome. So to be completely honest with you, it's been this weird, wild ride of a year, because my core customer is like the favored one of our current economy, where everyone's buying junk online instead of going to the store. And so I'm very thankful. And so anyway, so I'm happily married. Emily's my wife. We have two beautiful girls, first grade, third grade. And I am sitting in my Crocs in my house talking to you guys on a Zoom call. And I have an office in downtown Watkinsville. So that's kind of me. But let me just kind of touch on these 2 points, because I want to bring some hopefully some value here. And the first area I want to talk about is listening. And let me just say this: when Care to Continue started, this was the home healthcare model that Clint and I kind of first met when I was building that company. We started that company by getting 30 core customers together in a over-the-top focus group for the weekend. And we asked them like 1,000 questions. How do you want us to do it? What's broken in the model? What could be improved? What's your biggest frustration? What do you want to call it? Literally, these guys named the company for us. Care to Continue was not our idea. It was their idea. And we built our brand. We predicated our brand on what the customer actually wanted us to do for them. And I believe wholeheartedly, as a result of that listening, that deep early listening, we were able to carve out a pretty dominant position in our marketplace, because we didn't build our brand based on what we thought, but what they thought. Similarly, when I started Seller Accountant, just a couple of years ago, my first phone call was actually to my biggest national competitor. I was like, hey, Scott, I'm going to be competing with you here pretty soon, but I just wanted to kind of learn from you. How's it going? Yeah. How's your business? And to his credit, he was very gracious. Give me like an hour of here's exactly how we serve our customers. I was like, really? That's interesting. Let me act like I know what I'm talking about and take these notes, because I didn't. And we just kept calling anyone we knew that had ever sold anything online. Oh, you do eBay? Great. We'll talk to you about eBay. Oh, you have a Shopify site? Great. We'll talk to you about Shopify. And we ended up kind of, again, discovering some needs that these customers weren't having met that they would like to have met. And so that's kind of how we built Seller Accountant. And so I guess my point here is you'd be shocked at what people will tell you if you just ask them. And so I think kind of a nugget to take away here is be bold enough to ask somebody that you think it's ridiculous to ask them for advice, counsel, a hand, a referral, anything. If we can just listen, we're going to have an unfair advantage over our competition because most of them are not listening. And so my question to you guys is, what is your feedback loop? Like what is the process in your life that you've created where you get feedback, where you're not walking around with like cream cheese on your cheek and you don't see it because you don't have anybody close enough to you that'll call you on your BS. This like literally 3 weeks ago, I had hired a new guy and it wasn't a good fit. It wasn't a great hire. It wasn't his fault. It was really my fault. It just wasn't a good fit for the role. And I was talking to a close comrade of mine, and about 10 minutes in this conversation, he's like, dude, it sounds like you're like believing your own BS on this hire. It sounds like you're trying to sell Tyler on how great a job you did hiring a guy that's just not a good fit. And I was like, whoa, what? I don't know. And so it hurt my feelings, right? This guy called me out. I didn't like it. And so I went to my COO the next day, my business partner. I said, well, Ashley, what do you think about this? And she's like, you idiot. I've been trying to tell you this for 3 weeks. You're not listening to me. And so anyway, the point is, how can we set up feedback loops in our life where people love us enough that they're going to call us and say, you're not seeing this clearly. If you saw it clearly, you'd make better choices. And if you made better choices, you'd be successful. And so anyway, that was just I'm here preaching about listening, and I blew it up like 3 weeks ago. So, but this is just real life, right? You gotta have people in your life that care about you. And I guess let me just go CFO boy here for a second, because I'm currently serving as the chief kind of financial guy for about $100 million a year in e-commerce sales. And I'm like still learning the business, but here's what I'm learning as I'm kind of working with these e-commerce brands. What I'm learning is you gotta listen to the data. And so this is other part of this feedback loop discussion is, what parts of your business are you ignoring, or what parts of your business are you driving with the windshield muddy? You got stuff in front of you and you can't see which way you're going. And obviously, with that analogy, you're going to drive this thing into the ditch in case you're careful, unless you're careful. And so, for instance, with an e-commerce business, it's not enough to know how much it costs you to buy the widget you're selling. You actually have to know how much it's going to cost you to advertise people to purchase that widget. And it's the combination of that cost of goods sold and advertising that gives you the data that you need to understand, is this a good product or a bad product? And so many of the e-commerce brands that we represent before we get involved are kind of flying blind. They're just saying, you know what, I think, I hope, I pray that things will eventually kind of sort of maybe get better. And so I'm just gonna keep spending money on PPC. Let's try YouTube, and let's try Facebook, and let's try Google, let's try Amazon ads, and they end up getting more and more debt, and they end up in trouble. And so again, I think this is it's tangentially connected to listening. Make sure that with your finances, CFO boy here for a second, that you know where your money is going, and that you're holding yourself accountable. I believe accountability, by the way, I believe accountability is a character trait. I don't think you can hold someone else accountable unless they desire to be accountable as a part of their character. And so make the choice to be accountable when it comes to your life, and your goals and your numbers are part of that. And so anyway, driving blind is suicide. Please don't do it. It's kind of like public service announcement. Don't drive blind anywhere in your life. Second point, just really quickly, and then I want to save a lot of time for Q&A here, is just the adage, there are riches in niches, baby. There are riches in niches. I wonder for you, if there's something that you could be the best in the world at, and I mean this on two vectors, either this particular customer, she's a 38-year-old mom in Watkinsville, Georgia, whatever it is, this particular person, I solve her problems or speak to her better than anybody in the world. That's one way to do it. Or this particular problem, this problem set, I solve better than anybody else. And so just the way this kind of relates to my story is, Care to Continue, when we built this home healthcare company, we thought, how niche could we get? Okay, we're only going to serve seniors. Okay, we're only going to serve seniors in kind of the Athens, Georgia area. Okay, we're only going to serve seniors in the Athens, Georgia area that kind of have some exposure to dementia or some kind of home care need, maybe Alzheimer's or something like that. And so we just got nichier and nichier and nichier. What we found is that the more focused we got in our training and in our marketing, we kind of got everybody else too. It's like if you get really, really good at having a conversation with a core person, everybody else will still come to you if it's close enough to your business. And so Seller Account's kind of been the same. My brother owns an appliance repair company. My dad owns a real estate brokerage company. I don't do the accounting or CFO for either of them. Other than like we'll talk over a cigar or something like that. But like those aren't my customer. I love them. These men are core to my life, and I do not do their accounting because that's not my niche. My niche is a $500,000 to $10 million a year e-commerce brand that's trying to fight against the Goliaths that are Shopify, Amazon, Target, Walmart. And we're going to give them unusual competitive advantage by giving them intelligence into their financials. And so again, to the point that I know focused where my vision is, who my customer is, what my niche is, it gives me the power to say no to everything else, everything that doesn't fit squarely in the middle. Because here's what happens with every new business. And I've done this in both my companies, so I am guilty of this. But when you start a business, you chase every dollar that's out there. I will shine your shoes. I will take out your dollar. I will do what do you need me to do? Just please pay me. You'll give me $20, I don't know if this is your practice early, Clint, but it's like, what do you need me to do? You want me to call you every morning to say, will you please go work out? Right. It's like every business you start that way. But the quicker you can pivot to say, no. Only good money, only the perfect money is the money I want to bring into this business, because I want to focus on being excellent at serving the customer that I've chosen to niche out in. And if I can choose to be excellent at that, then I have a chance of being the best in the world at that, and I can actually make a bigger impact. And so anyway, I'll kind of pause there, but basically those are my 2 points. What I found in my life as I was kind of thinking, praying for you guys this morning even, is listening. How can we make sure we have quality feedback loops, listen to our customers, and through listening, can we develop niches, because there are riches in niches. And there we go. So that's it. So Colton has a question here. How do you?
Smokes. Yeah. So we're going to open up that chat box, guys. If you have a question, then put it right there in the chat box. Me and Benjamin will be, I know Benjamin's probably loaded up with questions right now because he is into the financial. He's look at him. He's fired up. He's like, just call on me, bro. Just call on me. But hey, me and Benjamin will be asking questions. But if you have a question, put it right there in the chat box. So go ahead, Tyler, and answer that one right there.
Yeah, so Colton asked, how do you go about expanding your cream cheese alert circle? I think that's a fantastic question. I honestly think groups like this, I don't know a lot about this group, Clint, but I think this is a great start. Like, I want to have an environment where there's enough safety that I can kind of let my guard down a little bit. And I do think we have to, as adults, we have to be proactive in finding these groups of people. So, to be honest with you, Colton, I think for me, it's been, I want to be a part of a couple of groups of guys, small enough, intimate enough groups of guys that they know me. They can tell, they can see on my face if I'm having a good day or a bad day, and then I don't think you need too many. I don't need to have 55 relationships like this. I probably need to have 5 to 10. And I probably need to have, not that I might not be in a bigger group, like I'm in a mastermind that meets every Tuesday morning where I'm just a participant in this mastermind. And there are 10 of us in the room, but there are like 3 of these guys that I've really gotten close with, that I know will call me out and will hold me accountable. My brother's another one. Clinton, you and I have kind of had this relationship on and off throughout the years where it's like, hey dude, how you're doing? But like, you know what, buddy, when you answered that question, how are you doing? I could tell you were not really telling me the truth. So what's really happening, kind of give me the real thing there. So that's my answer to that question. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that, Clint. How do you expand your cream cheese alert circle, man? That's
Yeah, well, so he put another little sentence in there, and I think that right there, what you just said, Cole. Yeah, I think that's totally true. I think, and I've talked to a lot of men about this because Tyler, that I'm super passionate about coaching and mentoring and having friends that hold me accountable. I'm super passionate about that. And when I talk to men about that what you just said, Cole, is kind of what they think. They think that it's this like formal conversation of like, hey, Tyler, listen, here's what I want to do, man. I want to, you want to put all this structure around it. I want to meet once a week and I want to da-da-da-da-da, and I want to do this, that, and the other. And it's like, I think sometimes if you try to put too much structure around it, that can be, I don't know, either a turnoff or overwhelming or something like that. So really, in my opinion, it's literally like, hey, get out there in the world, network, get to know men, and then a few of them are going to stand out, and you're going to be like, okay, wait a minute, something's different about this Tyler guy. He's transparent. He seems to be an honest guy. He seems to be a very hardworking guy. He seems to really care about his family. That's probably a guy that I need to tie myself to in some way or another. And then I think the next step is just, kind of leading with transparency. And it's like, hey, Tyler, let's grab coffee. Let's grab lunch. And then I'm going to lead. I'm going to lead in transparency and saying, hey, man, so I respect you. I've watched you from afar. I want to get to know you better. And I want to share with you a struggle that I've been having because I want to get your take on it. And you start with that, right? You go first. And then the beautiful thing that happens is that relationship starts to form. And then it just becomes this awesome accountability piece, that Tyler's been talking about.
Could not agree more. I think leading in vulnerability, being courageous in important relationships. And then, just kind of, you got to make sure you're not picking folks that are just energy vampires. Like, I want to be able to serve them too. Like, right, I want to have some of my life that like, hey, you need help and I'm here for you. But if every conversation I have with you is you kind of like be and moan about the same thing, like, that's cool, but I'm probably not going to call you as much as the other guy. I'm going to call Clint, because Clint's going to shoot me straight, and he's not always going to be stuck on the same things. Like, and so I just think that what you said, Clint, is so clearly critical, that especially as men, Brene Brown's like this great writer about like just kind of braving the wilderness. How can we be more authentic in our relationships? And I think there's a desperate need for authenticity in relationships, especially among men. And I think you will find that if you lead with courage, people will reciprocate.
And so, Tyler, you touched on this. I'm going to say one more thing about this, and then Benjamin, I'm going to let you ask a question. But here's where I think we miss it. This is where I think we miss it. I think we're too dang nice. I think we're too nice and we're too encouraging. And here's a quote that I don't know who said this quote, but whoever said it, it rocked my world because of how true it was. But the quote is, your true friends are the ones that tell you the most truth. Those are your true friends, because tough love is still love. It's still love, okay? And so really, truly, if I see the cream cheese on Tyler's face, and if I don't tell him, bro, you got some cream cheese on your face, that's not loving. That's not helpful. I'm not helping him. I'm not loving him well by not telling him that. So because I love him and I care about him, I'm going to be like, hey, Brian, come here, man. Hey, you got a little cream cheese right here. You're looking a little crazy. Let's fix that up. You know what I'm saying? So your true friends are the ones that tell you the most truth. Benja, what you got over there, Big Daddy?
Well, I wanted to tag along with that, talking about growing your cream cheese alert circle. I agree with Tyler that group doesn't need to be large, that quality over quantity You can have a bunch of people who are kind of involved in your life. It's pretty hard for someone to really know you, or you really to know someone. So actually it's better probably to have less of those people and have them know more about you, more of your struggles, more of what you're going after. Because if they don't know that, then, they're not going to see 3 weeks later, they see you, oh, how are your goals going? Good. That's kind of the answer, versus if they're really involved in your life, it's almost daily, weekly, or bi-weekly or whatever, check-ins of like, seeing that you're not making progress towards your goals. That's it's not when you're making progress that you need those people either. It's when you're stagnating. It's when you're, hitting a wall or ceiling, and then you really need someone to push you, to encourage you, to call you out, to pull you aside. So keeping that group small. And then the other thing I was going to say is, when it becomes formal and it's weekly, you need that weekly accountability. Like, this is a weekly accountability group. This is like a structured format. Usually you're going to have to pay for that. Like hiring a coach. Clint has a coach. I have a coach. I'm sure Tyler works with someone. Sounds like you're in a mastermind group. You're not going to get, if you have goals and you want to implement systems to meet those goals, you're not going to get that accountability unless you pay someone to hold you accountable. And that's what Tyler mentioned of putting yourself in accountability. You can't force accountability on someone else. And you can't really ask a friend to hold you accountable. Or you can, but you probably won't get what you want. What you need is a professional that does that for a living, to whether it's a business coach or a relationship counselor for your marriage. Like that's a coach, but they just call it something else so that it doesn't sound, woo woo. So that's kind of like, if it's formal, you're going to pay for it and it's a coach. And if it's not, you need like 2 or 3 people that know you intimately, know what you struggle with, can call you on your BS, etc. So I just want to tag on that because I think that's kind of my perspective from basically failing my way into the situation I'm in now.
Yeah, that's good. One thing, when I talk to people about fitness, a lot of times let's say that they came into Creed, they try to work out, and they're trying to get on track, right? And let's say they make the decision, well, hey, I'm not going to join right now. I found a friend and we're going to go to the gym to get together. What I want to say to them, I usually don't, because I'm trying to be nice. But what I want to say to them is like, okay, well, when that fails,
right,
we'll be here. And I've actually never really thought about it like that, Benjer, but that's so true. It's like, that's what people pay us for, right? At Creed. It's like they pay us for the structure and they pay us for the accountability. And I've never really thought about it quite that way, but you're right. When it's free, a lot of times it's like, you're not going to get what you want. But when you pay for it, you are.
Yeah. Tyler, what does that look like for you in, like subjecting yourself? You said accountability is make the choice to be accountable. Accountability is a character. It's not, it's something you impose on yourself. What does that look like for you in a week, a month, a year?
Yeah, it's such a good, thank you for the question there, Ben. Just a super anecdote on the coaching thing. I think if something's a hobby, like say, think about golf, it's a hobby, you pay to play, but you never get paid. Like you're not going to get, but as soon as you want to become a pro golfer, you pay lots of money for a coach. I think it's the same thing with any facet of my life. If I want extraordinary results, or maybe significantly better results than I'm currently getting, if it's fitness or business, even within business, there are coaches that'll help you if you just want to improve your sales ability or your leadership ability, or your ops ability. And so the way that what this looks like for me right now is that I am a part of that kind of close mastermind group. We meet every Tuesday morning, kind of like this, right? Zoom call for an hour. We actually have a pretty formalized accountability tool that everyone has to fill out every Monday. So a lot of this, I think, choosing to be accountable is going public with the things that you're going to actually execute to reach your goal. So kind of breaking down a vision. For instance, we just spent all fall kind of thinking through, come as you will be in 2023. What does my life look like? If I had to speak it in present tense, just December of 2023. Tyler, I am still happily married to Emily, and it looks like this because we go on. I will have done these date nights, and I will have cultivated these relationships with my daughters. And then in my business, seller accountant will be, we'll have 500 transformational relationships because we've done this and this and this, right? And so once you have a clarity about what your vision is, and you kind of force yourself to state it in a present tense, it's happened. I have the body I want. I have the relationships I want. Then you got to kind of go public with that and say, okay, but here's the things I'm going to have to do in the next quarter. Q1 of 2021, I got to solve these 2 problems. I can't solve 10. I'm going to solve these 2. And so in order for me to solve these 2 problems, we've kind of adopted this. It's a book. I think the guy's name is Brian, but it's called The 12-Week Year. So again, this is still answering your question, Ben, but it's basically there are 4 things sitting on a printed sheet of paper in front of me on my desk right now. Exercise 30 minutes, 4 times a week. That's a personal one. Develop a monthly vision communication to the entire team at Seller Accountant. Third one is transition at least 10 of my CFO clients to a subsequent CFO. And then number 4, I need a new operating agreement. So it's one of my partners were like, you need to figure this legal thing out, do it. And so these are the things that every day I have a plan for each week. I'm supposed to have done this by week 2, this by week 3, this by week 4. And then I have that group every Tuesday morning where I have to answer them. Hey, you said you wanted to be held accountable. How we doing on that legal agreement, homie? Oh, and actually that was me last week. I didn't do it. And so, I did. I emailed an attorney yesterday and he emailed me back. I got a meeting next week. But I hadn't been getting my stuff done. I didn't want to. I don't really like talking to attorneys. And so, but anyway, so I don't know if that answers your question, but that's kind of how I approach it. And then there's a thing that I want to mention here with these close relationships. You have to have a moment where you give them the keys. It's almost a ceremony where I'm going to sit down with Clint and say, Clint, you to use extraordinary courage in the way you talk to me. And you're never going to do this. I mean, Clint's a pretty courageous guy, but he's never going to fully kind of vent the things that he sees, maybe the little tiny cream cheese he might ignore. But if I say, no, I want you to know that I need you, I'm going to give you the keys. And I want you to have full freedom to call me to the mat on things that you see. And in fact, and with my brother Stuart, we have this where my wife knows that Stuart has the keys. And if I'm ever off track enough that I'm not listening, she knows I can call Stuart and he'll hunker me down, man. Like, dude, what are you doing, you idiot? And so I think we just have to be, that's the nature of being an accountable person, is saying, okay, how can I build systems and people around me that know that they have the safety? I'm not going to chew them out if they bring me hard news. And so anyway, that's what's been helpful for me.
That's excellent. Look, Colt's got another good question here. He goes, what are a couple of your best questions that you ask customers that some might think are uncommon or crazy, but you found very helpful in learning from?
Yes, such a great question. I think open-ended questions that are focused on their story, you just be amazed at what people want to share with you. Something like, why have you been so successful? I'm not saying you're like stroking their ego, but especially when I was calling that competitor, like he didn't have any business giving me any intelligence in the industry. Questions like, why is this working so well for you? What have you guys done to carve out this kind of position in the marketplace? Or again, some of the key questions we were asking the customers in the first company were questions around what's broken, what's not working, what frustrates you, what keeps you up at night, what would be meaningful. And then unfortunately, and I think this is important, as you're discovering things from your customers, a lot of times they don't know what they want. This is kind of like Steve Jobs' famous thing, is that your customers don't really know what they want until you tell them. So you have to be so intuitive as to listen to the circumstances around your customers and then say, oh, I think there might be an easy solution that solves that problem. They didn't even really know the problem fully formed. And so it is a bit of an art to just listen and take notes. And, even Benjamin, like you did a minute ago, you took something I said, you're like, wow, let me ask a question off that. Let me take a nugget from what you said and dig in deeper. And then if people are going to try to be guarded, they can't do it for long. You know, you ask them a few questions, they're like, oh, okay, let me just tell you, here's how I do it. And this is the part I love. This is the part I hate. But I mean, do either of you guys have a good question? I don't know if I have like a $1 million question, although I think cultivating important open-ended questions is critical. Yeah, actually one of the best questions I heard recently, we were talking about self-confidence in another mastermind that I lead, and just making it personal. Like the question that Chris Hanks was in that group, Clint, and he asked these kids, these college students we're investing in, and he's like, hey, why is it, what's happening in your life last week when you weren't feeling self-confident? Like forcing these students to actually make it personal and be like, I guess it's this and it's this. So I would just say like super thought-provoking questions are maybe the best.
That's a great response. I have a kind of follow-up question on that. I think, being a good salesperson is being good at asking questions. Kind of like you said, you said you've played a lot of different roles in a business. And if you're an entrepreneur and you have your own business, you're in sales, whether you like it or not. You may be a coder, you may be, have a different role in the company, but no matter what, along the way, you're going to be selling. Groups like this attract a lot of salespeople, a lot of entrepreneurs. I'm sure a lot of groups that you're a part of are the same way. What would you say to like the newer salesperson or this person that's working, like realizing, oh, wow, I'm not in IT, I'm in sales, or I'm not in e-commerce, I'm in sales. Did you have that kind of epiphany, and what would you say to them? What advice would you give?
That's a great question. I guess the two things that just popped in my head is one, a bias for action. I remember the very first sales job I had at SunTrust Bank. I didn't really know what I was doing. I was like, here's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to make it a rule that every time the phone rings, I'm going to be the one that answers. No one else in this building is going to answer the phone except me, because I want every at bat I can possibly get. And so a bias for action, I think, is the first thing I would say, especially as a new salesperson. And then having a very others focused, values focused. Here's what I found as a sales guy, because I am a sales guy. That's what I do in my business. I'm an unusual accountant in that I love to speak English. Right? Honestly, I would say that's like my entire value proposition to the e-commerce world is, and the reason I get to speak at conferences and on podcasts and stuff like this a lot is I just like communicating this stuff. But if I make it about you, if I make it about what is going to be valuable to you, I want to discover what's valuable to you, and I want to deliver that value. I kind of am a big believer. I'm going to be full kimono. Hey, man, if you want to know, I'm going to tell you exactly how we do it. Here's exactly how we would solve your problem. Let me give it to you. Here's exactly how we would make you better at what you're doing. And what I'm betting, and we've been right so far, is that as soon as you realize that, you're going to say, oh, well, heck, I don't want to do that. Let me pay Tyler to do it. I'd rather have him do it than me. And so I think just having an attitude of service, an attitude of value add, an attitude of how can I discover a problem that you have and kind of start to solve it? Now, it needs to come into the context of a funnel. You got to build some kind of a sales funnel, and you can't, Clint can't go around and just give away all the free coaching and never, people got to join the gym at some point, right? They got to join the club. But I think having a way to understand your customers' needs and develop relationships by being valuable, instead of being like, my first email is, hey, buy something from me. Here you go. Here's my solution. Here's my product. I think, be listening. That's what kind of was the listening part of it. Yeah.
That's actually how my current coach, Keith Kepner, that's how he picked me up as a sale. That's how he sold me. And, I had expressed some admiration to him via text and social media. I was like, man, you're just crushing it with marketing. I gave him a couple of compliments or whatever. And literally, and I didn't realize he was selling me at the time, right? But he's a very good salesperson. And he said, you want my scripts? It was literally that. It was that simple, like, you want my sales script? And I was like, yeah, I do. Like, send that puppy over, and he sent it. And then he started kind of, all right, well, when are you going to implement this? Kind of giving me some deadlines, and he would hold me accountable. Hey, did you implement this yet? And I was like, man, I need this guy in my life. Like, this guy's not only is he teaching me and helping me refine our sales process and our marketing, but he's also holding me accountable to doing it. That's like the best of both worlds, you know? But that's exactly how he sold me. Was he gave me something totally for free that I found valuable, you know? And man, that's the best way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so look, I got one more question for you here. We got about 5 more minutes. This one's unrelated to a lot of what we've been talking about, but this is a specific question I have because of what's going on in my life right now. So I've talked to you a little bit, Tyler, about my grandpa, and they've got 24-hour home health care going on in their home right now. And 50% of the caretakers are pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
And 50% are terrible, absolutely terrible. And so I know that that's a big challenge in that world. And so, I'm assuming and I'm guessing that you guys probably were a little better than 50-50. You know what I mean? So my question to you is that's a big, big challenge, right? To hire, people that they're lower dollar per hour people, but at the same time, they're providing an important service and they're in people's homes, sometimes 24 hours a day. So how in the world did you do that and manage that? And just talk a little bit about that, because I'm very curious.
To be honest with you, anytime you have a business model where there is a disconnect between the economic model and the need model, and so home care is a great example of that, where what you really wish could be is you wish you could pay someone $30 an hour. Just have just a professional who, and the reality is that the market can't bear the price point that sustainably attracts the talent that would be. And then this is multiplied or kind of compounded by the fact that baby boomers are aging and are outpacing your really, really great caregiving staff, right? And so all that to say, I think that there's a training gap. I think that there's so here's what we did at Care to Continue. Let me just say this. We made our entire model about the caregiver. In other words, what I wanted to do is because I couldn't completely solve that financial model problem. There wasn't enough pie to make it as lucrative as it needed to be, given the level of responsibility that she had in a home or he had in a home. I didn't have a way to solve that problem. And so what I had to do is expend every energy and resource I had to create other value for her, where the job became a mission and not just a job. And so that started with viewing her as our core customer. We changed our model very quickly to say, Susie Caregiver is our customer. We are going to engineer everything that we do around making her life better. And then I'm going to turn around and with an unabashed face, sell that to a customer to say, here's why you want to select our company over the alternative, is that look how we're taking care of Susie. She's going to be more likely to want to come into your home tomorrow. And we charge a little bit more. I get that, but here's why that matters, because it's connected to this and we're able to pay a little bit above market. And so, but to be honest with you, even with all that effort, it's still a real challenge because there's a staffing shortage. There's a training shortage. There's an explosion of need, but unless the family has just unreal resources, it's very difficult. So all that to say, man, I think your family, Clint, is experiencing what happens when there's a disconnect between an economic model and a care model need. How do you solve it? You focus on the caregiver. I'm not sure that every company does that.
So smart. That's brilliant. That's brilliant. Good stuff, brother. Hey, well, we want to end right here on time. We want to respect your time, my friend. Again, so thankful you jumped on today, provided tons of nuggets. Benjamin will probably do an excerpt or two and share those. And again, if you find value in sharing those with your network, feel free to do that. But hey, man, thanks for jumping on this morning. And
Real
again,
quick, Clint.
yeah, go ahead.
Just Tyler, how can people get in touch with you if they have questions or want to reach out to you about, accounting for e-commerce?
Yeah, so I would just say the website. So selleraccountant.com, selleraccountant, SELLER, selleraccountant.com. You can find everything you need to know there.
Great. And are you on social or anything like that? Can people follow you, connect with you?
Kind of. I'm being honest with you. I have an executive assistant. And I'm so grateful for Nikki, and she posts my stuff on, I think, a Facebook group and a LinkedIn. But I try to live my life as connected to the people in front of me as I can. And I'm like, I think I'm technically like the oldest millennial or something. Clint and I, well, what are we doing? I don't even know what we are, but
I don't know what we are either.
all I know is 83 was a great year. Like a fine wine, baby. But yeah, no. So yeah, I would say go to the website, or you might be able to find me elsewhere, but I'm probably not going to be very active because I'm
perfect. That's perfect. Thank you.
Hey, thank you, brother. Thank you again, Tyler, for coming on. And hey, that's it, fellas. It's 8:00. It's time to go get after it. Thanks for tuning in to today's edition of The Call with Tyler Jefcoat. Crush your day, gang. Have a great weekend.
Thanks, Tyler.
My pleasure.
See you
This
soon.
was awesome. Thank you.
All right, guys. Minger, you gonna jump in on this
Yeah.
for
So-
the that might be on?
Yeah, that's it. So if you're just turning in for the first time and you're interested in becoming an official member of this powerful group of men, you can head to Friday715.com, learn more. You can submit an application there. Every Friday, 7:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, we get on this Zoom call. We have a powerful speaker, or we work with our members individually, kind of checking in with them. And if you're looking to do an overhaul of your life or your business, you can email us at FridayCall715 at gmail.com, and we'll talk with you about kind of our process. If you want to support, best way to support is to join this group and to invite others to join this group. There's so much value that we get from leading it, and so much value that our members get. So come and join us. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're on YouTube, The Call. We're going to be on the podcast app and Spotify soon. You can like and share our content on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. And be sure to follow us on Instagram. I'm at Benjamin Bisson, and Clint is at Coach Clint Watson. And you can add us on Facebook as well. Until next time, men, go out there and make the difference that only you can make.
Go get